So, today's April 5th, 2023, and among all this other stuff, I got a 45 copy of No More Lonely Nights by Paul McCartney. This is the 2024 video, and basically, instead of filming it all and making you see the entire collection all at once, all over again, I've just decided to film it along what essentially is the previous year, but right now it's 2023, so um, as I get the records. So you're only seeing new records. This has the both versions, of course, on the 45, the ballad version on side 1 and the playout version on side 2. So you get both versions. Today I got a new stereo system set up. So I don't have to deal with that piece of shit Victrola anymore. And let me reset my focus. But I got 2 new Beatle records today. I got Beatlemania with the Beatles, which is the Canadian equivalent to With the Beatles, which was actually released, I think, a week after it came out in the UK and Germany. So it was really forward thinking of Capital Canada, because Paul White, who was the manager and the A&R director there at Capital Canada, was forward thinking in the way that Dave Dexter Jr. Of Capital USA wasn't. But it has the identical track list, including the typo of "You Really Got to Hold on Me," the Smokey Robinson cover. But this is an 80s pressing on the purple label. I also got the Beatles tapes from the David Wigg interviews, which were recorded from 1969 to 1973. All 4 Beatles were interviewed by David Wigg for a BBC radio program called Seen and Heard, and that's SCENE and Heard. So in 1976, they put out a record of it. This is actually the PBR 1978 pressing. And as you can see, the cover's not in the best condition because of this water damage here. But I'm happy to have it now because, it's the David Wigg interviews. It's the origin of the Brian Was a Beautiful Guy cut on Anthology 1 from the John Lennon 1971 interview. So, sorry for nerding out a bit there, but I'm just excited to finally try out my new stereo system with this one. This is going to be the first one I play on it. It works! Okay, just came back from the record guys. I got this single of Watching the Wheels by John Lennon. On top of my VHS set, I got the DVD set of Anthology. Now, what's sentimental about this, and the reason why I picked it up, is because these copies are from the local Hastings that we had, which became a Crunch Fitness. Now, these were the exact DVD copies that I rented when I was 10 and 11. And I know that because that was the first time I got to see Anthology in full. So I have both versions now. I have the DVD and the VHS. So these obviously have much more sentimental value to me, even though the VHS is amazing. I loved seeing it on VHS, and I think having it on VHS is interesting. But these have more sentimental value to me, so I might sell those. I don't want to, but I need money, so. So today was record store day, and this is one of the things that I got. This compilation called The Beatles First and Tony Sheridan. It is the Polydor recordings. Cover isn't in the best condition, but I'm happy because this is a French import. This was on a very, very budget label. Look at all these, offre special and stuff like that. This was on Impact, which was a budget label, and they did these kinds of compilations in, according to Discogs, 1971 and 1972, and this one also came in a purple cover, but I have the blue one. This is the label, Impact, The Beatles First and Tony Sheridan. and I just like owning these compilations from different countries. You know, I have one from the Netherlands. Uh I think I have a German one too. But now I have this French one, and that's cool. Today I got this album, Golden Hits the Beatles. It was released in Taiwan in January of 1967. This is the stereo version. There was also a mono version. It's on Large World Records. And this is an unofficial release, obviously. But it's interesting to have for a few reasons. First of all, this is the first and only Beatles record in my collection where the sleeve is made of rice paper. I have a few other records that are with rice paper sleeves from Taiwan, because that's what they have in Taiwan, or had at this time. The song selection seems to be, 1963 is the earliest with Please Please Me, 1965 with Yesterday being the latest. But another reason why this is cool is, check this out. Look at that. It's orange. It's so colorful. You can see through it. Isn't that cool? Today I got this one. The Beatles hits on BRS records with mostly Rubber Soul tracks, some earlier stuff. This is a USSR unofficial compilation from 1991, and here's the label. Note that there is no catalog number anywhere on this record. And I also got these tins, which contain puzzles of famous Beatles album art. But John at the Record Guys said that one of them is missing pieces, so I will have to be putting these together to find out which one it is. That's the poster to this album, Venus and Mars, which is the latest addition to my collection, along with a few other ones. As you can see, Hype sticker is neatly on there. This is probably an original pressing of this. And speaking of Venus and Mars, another thing that I also got a couple of Wings 45s, including Venus and Mars Rock Show, backed with Magneto and Titanium Man. And I also got the 45 of Good Night Tonight, backed with Daytime Nighttime Suffering. Now, I do have this 12-inch that I got probably in 2022, I think. But now I have the 45. And on top of all those, on top of all the Paul McCartney stuff, finally expanding my John Lennon collection a bit, and I got Walls and Bridges. This is an 80s repress, as you can tell from this purple label. And Walls and Bridges. Today I got a George Harrison single from the Extra Texture album, which you don't see every day. So this one has a song called You on it, and on the other side it has a song called World of Stone on it. And these aren't Beatles singles, but this is a Frank Ifield single. That's interesting. And this is a Friends of Distinction. I had to sell my VHS copies of Anthology because I needed money so I could buy this. This is my new capo. I broke the old capo, but I have a new one. It's right here. It's sturdy, works well. Today I didn't get much. I got the Spies Like Us single by Paul McCartney. Of course, Capitol resurrected the Rainbow label in the 80s, so 1985. And on the B-side is a Wings song called My Carnival, which was recorded during the Venus and Mars sessions. So it's a cool tie-in to a long-forgotten comedy film, had it not been for this Paul McCartney song. So yesterday my external hard drive finally failed me, and I lost 4 years of progress. And that includes recorded songs, stuff I was working on, the animations, stuff for the documentary. But thankfully, I still have all my Beatles 2024 stuff that I saved on the desktop of my computer. So that's good. But yesterday I did go to the record guys to sort of commiserate. But I finally got a collection of Beatles oldies. It was $40. John charged $30 for me because, as he said, he felt sorry for me. This is an Apple LP, not the Parlophone in there, so it's Apple, I think. Who knew they put a collection of Beatles oldies on Apple? But they did, and I'm trying to get the glare away from it, but there it is. Today I got a whole load of new Beatles stuff. We'll start with records. I got the 45 of Power to the People by John Lennon, backed with Yoko Ono's Touch Me. And I have the Green Apple label of Back Off Boogaloo, backed with Blind Man by Ringo Starr. I used to just have the blue one, but now I have the green one. And you've seen this. I had the Anthology 1 cassette tape all along, but now I got Anthology 2 on cassette with the hype sticker, and it's sealed, so I will be breaking that seal shortly. This underneath, I'm borrowing, so that's why I have a post-it that says Record Guys, because I have to bring it back. But this is Robert Freeman's book called Beatles. And it has many unseen photographs that Robert Freeman took of the Beatles. Now I just need the third one. Today I got a pretty substantial item for my Beatles collection. The Beatles Beat. This is a German compilation that was released in 1964. This was the first compilation that was released in Germany. It's got all the great early tracks on it. Some more surprising than others. Hold Me Tight and Till There Was You are quite surprising to see on there. But I also got Abbey Road and Let It Be on CD. These are the 1987 releases. We haven't talked about my Beatles CD collection that much, and that's because it's pretty sparse. But I feel like I should talk a bit more about my Beatles CDs. So while we're on the subject of the 87 releases, I do have both volumes of Past Masters, and I am making a documentary about Past Masters, so that's why I picked those up. But I also picked up some 2009 CDs about 2 days ago, and I embarrassingly only do have 3 of the 2009 CDs, but I do plan to get full collections of both the 87 and the 2009 CDs. So I have Revolver, Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band, and Let It Be. And I also have Love on the CD, and it comes with not just the CD, but also the DVD audio. So it's quite interesting and a very substantial release. And finally, for the mainline releases, I have one. This is the 2015 issue of One that I got from Target, which has a CD and a DVD included. The CD is a 2015 remaster of the original One album from 2000, and the DVD contains music videos and footage of live performances and the original promo films, etc. And going off from mainline releases, I have these interview CDs, starting with these three that came out at Best Buy around the same time as the anthology CDs, the Beatles Rare Photos and Interview CDs. This is Volume 1, this is Volume 2, and this is Volume 3. And so these are really substantial. I have the 5 Jeffrey Giuliano CDs, which, you know, to talk on Jeffrey Giuliano for just a minute, I think having these CDs isn't the worst thing in the world, because they do still contain audio of the Beatles interviews. I just, basically fast forward through anything Giuliano says. But that's what I got today, and that's what I've had, and I just kind of wanted to show it just because I've basically never shown any of my Beatles CDs. And also, I basically let go of a bunch of them. So I'm just trying to get all my collection back. Today I got 2 Beatles-related things. First of which, in the mail, I got The Beatles Forever by Nicholas Schaffner. Classic piece of Beatles literature. And then I got the Capital Starline Series 45 of Can't Buy Me Love, backed with You Can't Do That. And that's all that I got for Beatles today. Short segment, right? Okay, so today I went to the Record Guys and I got these 2 Beatles-related releases. This is Chartbusters Volume 4, which was released by Capitol in 1964, and it includes 2 Beatles songs on it. I Want to Hold Your Hand is the opening track, and I Saw Her Standing There is the closing track. And it looks to be a very interesting mix of artists, Capitol artists. But I also got John Lennon Plastic Ono Band. This is the German pressing, and this is the label of the German pressing. It's really interesting to have now. Today I got this. It's not necessarily a record, but what it is, it's a CD-ROM of A Hard Day's Night, and essentially they'd put this in computers, and it played back the full movie of A Hard Day's Night in that tiny little letterbox screen in the corner. But it was revolutionary for the time, because back then this was the first and so far only movie on computer. And so here's the manual. It's got no pictures. This is the disc, and this is a spacer thing. So I'm gonna have some fun with that today. I got this on Amazon. I didn't get this anywhere local. And surprisingly, it's kind of inexpensive too. Like, I didn't think this would be so cheap, considering how novel it is for it to be a CD-ROM. Definitely a collector's item for someone like me. Okay, here's the package, which I thought I'd open up on camera, because this is a historic event that I did not foresee when I first started this year-long project in April. But now it's here, and it's in my life. Here it is. The last Beatles single, and the Beatles song of my generation, Now and Then. Backed with Love Me Do 2023 mix. And this is a German pressing. Original. Order this from the Beatles website, and I'm quite happy to have it. Alright, it's 2 days before this video goes live, and so I do want to talk a bit about the books of the Beatles that I have accumulated over a period of many years, starting with the big tomes. This is the kind of biggie, Tune In, by Mark Lewison. Of course, the first volume of what is going to be a 3-part biography of the Beatles, which is really brilliant. I have read the standard edition, but I'm currently reading the extended edition right now. Paul McCartney's recent book, The Lyrics, 1956 to the Present, is also really a fascinating look into what went into the lyrics of his songs. Very much a well-needed entry into the Beatles' literary contributions. This one I'm currently borrowing from the library, Hunter Davies' book on the Beatles from 1968. This is the 1978 reprint. So there is a bit of newer information in this one, but still a really well done book, despite its flaws seen in the current era. For what it is, it's a really good book, well done. This is Nicholas Schaffner's book, The Beatles Forever, which is also a really well done book. These are some miscellaneous magazines that I've accumulated over the years. And this is basically a sheet music book of mainly Lennon-McCartney compositions. And this is the Paul McCartney Got Back tour book. And of course the Beatles anthology. That's another big one. Really a well done book. Probably the closest that we will get to basically, actually not just the closest, it is the Beatles autobiography. In this book, The Beatles and the Historians by Aaron Torkelson Weber is also a really great look into what she describes as like the 4 narratives of the Beatles, how the Beatles' story was told over time, and how scholarly writing from the likes of Mark Lewison is going to change the myths of old, basically. I really like this book. And another book is Powers of Two by Joshua Wolf Shank, which kind of goes into like the Lennon-McCartney partnership. Like, this is mostly a book about like teamwork and partnerships and stuff like that. It also goes into like Steve Jobs and Steve Wozniak and stuff like that. So Lennon-McCartney is a really interesting place where this book goes. The John Lennon Letters, Hunter Davies' book, is also just a really insightful piece. This is the most recent book, 1964, Eyes of the Storm by Paul McCartney. "60 years ago tomorrow," actually, now that I think about it, was the Ed Sullivan Show, February 9th. And another Lewison book, The Beatles Recording Sessions, really essential, even though Lewison nowadays is very much embarrassed by his writing in the book. This is still very much educational and informative. This doesn't even scratch like the tip of the iceberg as to like good Beatles books, but this is a bunch of them, and I do recommend them. And with that, I think this is going to be the end of the 2024 video, so thank you for watching, and I'll see you in 2025.